Be seated. Was my collar like that the whole time? Wasn't it? Oh, it popped out. Yeah. The last Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby. Anyone know who that is? Justin Welby? You guys? I don't know. I don't know if people in churches always know like the stuff that goes on at the political level of the big Anglican world church, but he was our Archbishop of Canterbury for a number of years until this last year when he resigned. There's a website dedicated to him fixing his collar, because he often appeared in photographs with his collar tab kind of like hanging out. So there was a whole website devoted to all the times that he should have pushed in his collar. And here I am following in his footsteps today. Thank you for helping me with that. We do need help getting dressed sometimes. It's good to be with you again. Thank you for being here today in this church plant. You're doing amazing things here in this place. I'm thankful for each of you. This dispute that Jesus does not wade into is fascinating to me. Jesus is teaching a large group of people, or at least a big enough group that he doesn't know everybody personally, and someone in the crowd shouts out a question for him. It's funny that very few people ask Jesus big theological questions. Jesus, who created the whole world? Jesus, was the world created in 7 days, or was it like a long period of evolution? Jesus, what's the relationship between the people of God and the book in the Old Testament and the people of God and here in this time? People didn't ask Jesus a lot of those questions. They asked him very practical things about their life, which is the same questions we're asking Jesus. We actually don't ask Jesus most of these questions. We ask our friends, we ask our families, we might type it into the computer and Google search something about these kind of questions. And it's, teacher, tell my brother to divide the family inheritance with me. Are you guys brothers here? Brothers. You ever have any disputes over items that are passed around, like toys, video game consoles, food? Occasionally. I had 4 brothers and a sister, and I know, the rule was if you have a brownie and you have to cut it in half, the other brother, one cuts and the other one gets to choose. And that, man, talk about a precise, measurement of, and everything is kind of like that with brothers sometimes, but these are grown-up men. Teacher, tell my brother to divide the family inheritance with me. Apparently one is the executor. Nothing has changed in human society for thousands of years. I hope you all know that. When you read the Bible, they had the same kind of problems we have today. How many times have you heard a family going through a crisis over a will, a piece of property, when there's a death in the family? This is nothing new. It is something that will affect every one of us at some point in some way, even in small ways or big ways. Not just wealthy people that have these kind of problems, everybody does. I remember an Army colleague coming up to me and sharing with me once that he and his brother got in a fight when his dad died. They got in a fight over the family property. And he said, he told me this, and I just listened. He said, I grabbed my brother around the throat and started choking him because I was so mad at him. We got in a physical fight, these grown men. And that's always stuck with me, that we're all kind of calm and civilized and normal, in life. But when you come to something like this, people start to express their more primal emotions. There can be violence, there can be threats, there can be people cutting each other off in families that have been connected. So this is a very real problem that this someone has that they bring to Jesus. And guess what Jesus answers about this inheritance problem? His answer is not about whether he's right or his brother's right. In fact, Jesus recuses himself from the controversy. He says very clearly, I am not a judge or an arbitrator of you. I am not a judge or the arbitrator of this dispute. The word arbitrator here in the Greek language, which the New Testament is written in, only appears once in the New Testament. That is called, here's a fun word, a hapax legomena in Greek. Hapax legomena. I always wanted to write a song. Hapax legomena. Anyway, hapax legomena, one word appearance. This word appears on the stage of the New Testament one time. It comes out and goes, hey, and then it disappears. No one really knows what it means. Very simple definition is divider, the one who divides. Jesus says, I am not come among you to be your divider, to be your judge to determine who gets what. That's unfortunate, isn't it? Because that'd be kind of nice if Jesus did that for us. Gave us stuff of our brothers that we deserve, that he was holding from us. If he were to come in and fix our family problems. Every family has problems. There's something about being so close that kind of gets to us, whether it's a marriage, whether it's brothers and sisters, whether it's aunts and uncles, even people that work very closely, even people in a church, especially a church where it's the right size that you can kind of know everybody. We get into those same problems here. And we always will. We always have. And Jesus stands among us and says, I'm not here to arbitrate over these little problems. Jesus is saying, you're mature enough to handle this yourself. Usually in these kind of problems, we know what is right. We know what is wrong. It's just doing it is the hard part. And Jesus then pinpoints the real problem. It is not a problem between brothers or estate sales or anything else or more lawyers and attorneys. It is a problem of the human heart that was addressed in the Ten Commandments. What is the last commandment? I'm a public school teacher, so I'll be teaching these to the kids. They're going to be on the walls of my classroom here in a few weeks. That's another discussion. But the 10th commandment is what? Yeah, there you go. And there's a whole list of things you're not supposed to covet. It's not a word we use in English anymore, the word covet. But it's the word that we all know too well. When you see a picture of someone on a European vacation, you know, and you say, I'm not going there this year. I can't afford that. Or you see someone maybe driving a car or having a boat, or you put in that thing that gets you feeling that way, and that's what coveting is. When someone else has something that you don't. Even things like the way your family functions can be a kind of greed, because often economics have a lot to do with that. A lot of things kind of fit into this category. Our second New Testament lesson today said, covetousness, greed, is a form of idolatry. Imagine walking into one of your friends' houses, and you go in there, and they got this big statue of something, and they're bowing down to it. They say, oh, just a second, I'll be right there. I gotta, you know. And it could be a pop star, or it could be anything. But it's greed. It's that lusting after something that you don't have. And this is inherent to us as humans. I don't care how frugal you are, how rich you are, or poor you are. All of us have this problem. And this guy has the problem, and Jesus is here to address it. A man's worth, a person's life does not consist. It is not measured in the things that you own. And this will cut across our values as Americans. This will cut across our values as people of any country on the world, because since the dawn of human time, people have always wanted stuff that they don't have. And some of this is kind of good because it drives us to get jobs and work and do stuff like that. But there's this other part of it that is never fully enough. And the solution to this is what Jesus said, is to consider what is really valuable in life. What is really valuable? The thing that is really valuable is life itself. It is people. It is love. It is shared community and harmony and people giving things to it. Money, like for this rich man, when you hoard it, when you put it in a barn and then tear down that barn and build a bigger barn. I do lead tours in downtown Austin. They're always tearing down buildings and building bigger ones. That's just the way it goes. And my son and I were riding down one day. We saw this big scaffolding, this big new building going up. And he said, are they building a new church? I said, no, they're not building a church there. They're building a big building. We don't build churches anymore. You don't go to the city and see, oh, what's that big construction project? It's a big church. No, that's not what's happening in the world today. We're not even building like housing for people that much. We're building these other monuments to like what this guy's doing. And if this is all you've got is a bigger barn, a bigger storage facility for all the stuff that you have, and we as modern Americans we have bank accounts. We don't need barns. That bank account with those digital numbers that gets bigger or smaller, that is what this is. Money provides us a security against chance. We all need it. We all have to have it. It is not a bad thing in itself, but it is this other part of it, the greed. It is like a poison in our soul that ruins our ability to be in connection with other people, like is happening for this man in the story. God comes to him. Your soul is required of you. It is in the temporality of life, the fact that it lasts for such a short time. And the only thing that's good about it in this world that makes it good and makes it fulfilling is love. And that is always shared with other people. Jesus said, use your money to make friends. He said some very practical things about money. He talked more about money than he talked about heaven and hell. You know that? Because he knew where we live. He knows how we live. This morning, I came in and I would need to use the restroom. And I don't always like to just come in and use the restroom in churches, you know. When I'd come drive an hour and drank a lot of coffee. So I went down here to get the gas station. I went the wrong way. And I came to Sobrante Drive. Anyone know where Sobrante Drive is? And I turned to turn around. I didn't realize I was turning on Sobrante Drive. I saw the sign, and I remembered about 14 years ago when I moved back to Texas. I just left the active duty Army, and I had nothing. I didn't have a career, didn't have a job. I was newly ordained in the Episcopal Church, but I didn't have a post or any place to work. I stayed with a chaplain friend of mine who had been a chaplain with me in the Army. He lived on Sobrante Drive. And me and my two little kids, they're 5 and 6, and I was starting over in life. He let me stay with him in his guest room on Sobrante Drive. And me and my two loud kids stayed with this guy, and he let us stay there. And I remember thinking, I'm not going to make it. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't really have anything. And I depended on the Army for so long for money, to make a living, and for my sense of self-worth, and all those other things that make us who we are. And I didn't have that anymore. And I remember praying and saying, God, I don't know, you got to take care of me. I don't know what to do. I have no idea. And I was trying a bunch of things, applying for a bunch of jobs. And so there this morning, I remember God is always taking care of me. God will always take care of you. No matter what it is, what you need, especially in the area of money, God will always give you enough. The prayer we're going to pray in a few minutes is, give us this day our daily bread. That is the Christian way of thinking about money. Give us this day our daily bread. Just enough for today. I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but give me enough for today, God. And tomorrow comes and you say, give me enough for today, God. And God always will. And God always does. Amen.